All right, I think we're going to take a trip up to Lake Pahoja at the Pahoja Lake Recreation Area and catch some fish this weekend. What do you think, guys?
I am excited.
Yay! Yay! So first off, let me say I did not understand the correct pronunciation of Pahoja before we left, so I will be mispronouncing this throughout. But this is a great little recreation area about 35 miles north of Sioux Center, straight up Route 75 and then across a few miles. We went up for a couple of days in the middle of the week thinking we'd get some rest and relaxation, do a little fishing. It does cost $20 to get into the Isle Park system if you buy a year pass, or you can spend $5 and just get a couple days. The campsites are $20 a night, which is really quite a bargain. Are we ready, boys? We're all checked in.
Yep, we're all ready.
It's time to go find a campsite.
I want to go fishing.
All right.
Lake Pahoja recreation.
We initially went in and paid and then headed out to find our campsite, but the first thing we had to do was stop and fill the RV up with water. There's only 7 sites that include water. Everything has electricity, but only 7 of their sites have water along with it. Luckily, our camper holds about 40 gallons of water. So that was our first task on the way in to find a site, was to fill up the water tanks.
This is the fishing.
So we have to get the water filled up here at Lake Pahoja. There's only apparently 7 campsites with both water and electric hookups. So we were told that they think that all of them are full. It's first come, first served basis, and you pick your campsite and they have a mailbox for you to put your payment in, and it is just on your honor. I think we look like we're about full here. So we got all the water filled up. Just to kind of show you what we use for our water stuff here. So this is where the water goes in at, and you just close it up. I'll actually lock that when we get over to the campground. Winnie is ready to go. So we departed there after we filled up with water and got the RV into our selected site. Jess and the boys helped me back it in. Never try to back an RV around without someone helping you out. And then we had to use our leveling blocks to slightly level up the camper, just to make sure that our heads weren't down. Not difficult at all. We have these pre-made plastic blocks. Tell me when I'm up on the top one. Pull right up on them and the camper is generally level.
You're on the top.
So our next, we had to let our slides out. We have 2 slides on our RV that gives us a little extra room. And that is for our front bed and for the living room couch. Then just the only thing left to do was to plug up the electricity. Now I do recommend that you get another plug that goes on this that kind of protects you from power surges, but we have not yet bought one. So we got all of our fishing gear ready, and it was time to head to the lake.
What kind is he?
That's a
Jess
bluegill.
was the first one to catch a fish. Nice little bluegill.
Mom, can I take yours off?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Mom got one. Was that make 2 for Mom?
2.
Did he swallow it?
No, I think I can see the one.
So you don't poke your hand. Push your fingers on the top, like push it. Here, these.
Yeah, you want to push
down.
his gills
Push 'em
down.
like that.
That's
Yeah.
why I dropped my other one.
There you go. You got it good.
You just pull it out.
Oh, see if you can unhook it.
I can't see the hook though.
Yeah, you probably need to use the pliers.
Okay, where are they?
They're in the, I think that one, yeah.
So we ended up catching 9 fish that evening, I think. Everyone except Timothy managed to catch one.
I thought you were about to.
Although he did learn how to cast an open face reel.
Well, it's been a pretty good night out here on the lake. Elijah caught, what'd you catch, 3, Elijah?
I caught 3, Mom caught 3, you caught 1,
No, I caught 2.
1.
I caught 2.
Dad caught 2.
I caught 2, you caught 3, Mom caught
caught
3,
3.
Colin caught 1.
I almost just caught 1.
I guess we skunked Timothy.
So we took our fish back to our campsite, and I cleaned them there at the camper that evening. It's been quite a few years since I've done any fish filleting, and I'm not the best at it. As you can see here, I kind of really hacked it up. Oh, I did a hack job on that one. But we still managed to get a little bit of meat out of it, and we've got it frozen in the freezer. Once we have enough all together, then we'll have a fish fry. We went to bed, and the next morning we got up and headed down to the swimming area. The Lake Pahoja swimming area is actually very nice. There's lots of sand. It's not the same kind of sand you'd find at the beach, but good enough for the boys to bury one another in. Elijah was really the brave one to let Colin bury him in the sand. While Caleb laid back and caught some rays.
On his rest towel.
Okay, here we go. Sand. It's artificial ears. You gotta make it look like I'm not here. You gotta make it look like just my body's here. So, you gotta...
Can't get out?
I'm working on it. But you're gonna have to get red sauce. Get up.
Can you all swim out to the line?
My life jacket.
Can you all swim out to the line?
What?
Can you swim out to the line? There's seaweed in the lake?
Yeah.
Must be lakeweed.
You are dumb.
Hey. I didn't know there were sharks in this lake.
They should have water too.
So after the swimming, Jess and the boys actually went on a scavenger hunt. They had to find all kinds of different stuff, as you can see here from the pictures. Everything from berries to nests. The most interesting thing was they also had to find some poo.
So how'd you get those, Elijah?
Scavenger Hunt.
What kind of stuff did you have to find? You had to find poop?
Yeah.
What else?
We actually had to find
What kind of poop?
animal poop.
Any
Molly's
time.
poop.
Well, that should have been pretty easy.
So then that second evening it was time to go fishing again. This time, instead of fishing down near the dam where we were the day before, we actually went to the upper end of the lake. There's a couple of nice little points to fish off of. We started at the one you can see here, and it was fairly early in the evening still, so it was a bit before the fish started biting, but we got there and got our stuff ready and got everything started. I started fishing with a jig first, in hopes to catch some crappie or bluegill, and the boys were using night crawlers. So the first chance here, I thought I had a fish, as you can see, trying to bring it in, but as I got closer to the shore and I got it out of the water, I realized I just caught some seaweed. Elijah was the first one to catch fish. And once that they started biting, I decided to change over to a regular hook and just put night crawlers on like the boys and Jess had. Got another one? Elijah was the second one to catch fish too. brought it over, put it in the bucket. And then I did finally hook one. Nice little being the key word here, little bluegill. But it was nice to finally catch something. Of course, if you catch a fish, you got to take a picture. Even though it looked more like bait than anything you would want to keep. And things started to pick up at that point. We started to catch some. Everybody started to get some nibbles and bites. This one, I thought that I had quite a large fish, maybe a catfish or something on, but I reeled it in, and it felt like it was going to be a whopper, but it was just a fish tangled up in all the weed and stuff next to the shoreline there. So at the end of the day, we decided to walk over to the point where Jess and the other boys were. They seemed to be catching some fish there, so we thought we'd see what was up with them and throw our line in once or twice there to see if maybe we could catch one over there. They seemed to have a better spot than Tim and I did.
Guys, catch any more?
Not yet. Caleb caught one.
Did he?
He caught a little one.
Little baby.
Not big enough to keep?
No, it was going to be the farthest.
That was my spot. Yeah, that was. Go over there with a mat on.
Figured we'd throw our lines in one or two more times and about time to go. There's a stick out there in the water. Y'all been fishing around that brush?
I've got out there a bunch.
Mom caught hers right there.
No.
Oh, watch out, Caleb.
So we finished up, went back, and it was time for some marshmallows and a campfire before we turned in for the evening, which was nice and relaxing.
Why do you look like the king sitting on the throne?
Simba. Simba. Oh, yes, I begged to buy a...
Truly nothing better than just hanging out, enjoying each other's company around the campfire. It was a really nice evening. So we went to bed, got up the next morning, and the boys started rounding things up, getting things ready for us to go home. Of course, after eating breakfast, as you see Colin here chowing down on his Eggos. But while Jess was doing her Bible study for the morning, they started to pack up, and we got things ready to go. Camper was all packed up, and we pulled back out to head home to Sioux Center. It's only about a 45-minute drive. It was a nice time at Lake Pahoja. We enjoyed our time there. We'll definitely go back, and I recommend everyone check it out. So that was our trip to Lake Pahoja, which is just 35 miles or so north of Sioux Center here in Iowa. We had a great time, caught a fair amount of fish, and it was really nice to get away for a few days and spend some time on the lake and around the campfire with the family. So,
make sure to like and subscribe so you can, and hit the notification bell so you can get all of our new videos.
what he said. See you guys.
Bye.